So I made a game. I made a game for the Brackeys Game Jam 2022.1. Game was called Guardian, and it was about a father protecting his daughter from the nightmares that she's experiencing when she sleeps.
Papa, 私寝たくないよ.
I actually got the idea to voice over the characters about a day and a half before the deadline, and luckily I found a couple of very willing and able Japanese voiceover artists. So shout out to those guys. Links to their Fiverr gigs will be in the description. Before we continue with the video, a massive shout out to my YouTube channel members and Patreon subscribers: Foozle, CC, Zan, Jet Simon, Amari Lewis, Lightning Cat, Olivia Bernier, Retro Galaxy, Fanband, Seth Coble, Rob, Endmark Games, Tor Alexanderson, Jared Demont, Martin K, and Matt. For more details about my Patreon and channel perks, there is a link in the description. The whole game is, in fact, a metaphor. Nothing is real. In fact, the theme is it is not real. And the game itself is also not real. Dreams aren't real. Effectively, what's going on in the game is the father is talking to the daughter. She's saying how she doesn't want to go to sleep because she's afraid of her dreams. He's telling her that dreams aren't real, comforting her so she can fall off to sleep. And as she's falling off to sleep, she's imagining her father in her dreams protecting her from the nightmares. When the father destroys the boss nightmares, the bosses disappear and the daughter can fall asleep. That's effectively the premise of the game, and unfortunately, due to time restraints and overscoping, which is something that I've done way too often in game jams, the game was never finished. It was submitted but never finished. You can see up here there is a third boss, which is the snake. If I double click on this one, this is what the animation looked like. This one here should have been somewhere down here. There ended up being only two, and of those two, only one of them was really 100% finished, which was the bug level. Let me start by taking you through the boss levels. So this is boss one. It's basically a slug. It was going to be a bug with legs, but animating 6 legs was just absolutely doing my head in. So I decided to chop the legs off and make it a kind of, well, that's the idle animation. I decided to chop the legs off and make it a kind of slug, so it would kind of sludge its way in, which was a lot easier to animate. And you can see I've given it some squash and stretch, so as it goes up it gets thinner, and as it goes down it gets fatter. You can see where most of the time went in this game jam. This one boss has 7 animation states, from move to idle to hurt, hurt 2, again just for variation. You play different animations. It's vulnerable state, so it can only be attacked when it's in this state. You can see the eye changes as a visual cue, and then the attack state. Again, this wasn't 100% finished because I was originally going to have like a little bug start animate in the mouth before it gets spawned in, but again, time and such. And then the die animation, so when you kill it for the final time, it takes one last breath and then collapses into itself. And then boss 2 is just some eyeballs. Again, you can see time wise, by the time I got to boss 2, I think I had about 1 day left. Still another boss to make, and still another room and a menu screen to add on. So this one was originally supposed to have 4 states, and what it was going to do is every time it got to a new state based on its health damage, it was going to reveal more of itself. So it starts with just the eyes, then you start to see the face come through, and then you'd have arms that would be grabbing onto some of these platforms. But again, nice to have, but never actually came to fruition. But it will do now that the jam is ended. I'm going to start working on the game again because I do want to get this one finished, because I'm really proud of what this game has become. So the eyeballs are just a nice simple animation, just moving left and right. And then state 1, you can see that it starts to show visually a little bit more of itself. And then hurt, you can see that it gets angry and the teeth come in, and then you got a kind of a reddish tint on it. You can see the eyeballs that have changed into a kind of more sinister look. These orbs that float around, these just have the orbit behavior, and they're just kind of programmed in terms of the properties at different radiuses and speeds, so they move in different directions. And again, these were going to be animated and they were going to look nice and and all of that, but again, you know, time. They've just got a basic animation for hit and destroy, where they just get less. Once you destroy all of the balls, you can then float up and down in this floaty, what's the word for it? This kind of floaty beam. It will kind of drag you up. And the idea here is that you need to be able to hit him in the face in order to take him past this state. So you float up and then you throw ninja stars at him until you got his damage down to a certain level, and then it would turn into state 3. But again, this is where the game kind of ends. I've got a particle effect at the bottom here, which if I preview is just showing a visual cue that this will move you upwards if you jump into it. I think that's pretty evident, and that's as far as I got with it. In the bedroom there are 2 doors. The first door is a dojo. This was going to be a training room, and the second door was going to be an options menu where you could kind of tweak sound effects and various other tweakable options. But again, time-wise, it never came to fruition. So I changed the second door to basically a shout-out and credits. But if I put credits above the door, I don't think many people would have gone in, because people tend to not really read credits in my experience, especially in game jams. So I just put a more of an ambiguous do not enter sign above the door, hopefully appealing to people's curiosity so they would go in and check it out. And then when you go in there, it's just a shout out to my YouTube channel and just some credits. It's far from what it was supposed to be. And again, now that the jam's ended, I will change it back to its original purpose. The dojo, again, was supposed to be a tutorial level, but time-wise, it got away from me. So effectively what I did is I put down these little vases here. So when you break these, you can refill your ninja stars, and then you can throw ninja stars at these targets, and you can hit this training dummy. And the training dummy, the way I've done this is I've just given it the sign behavior, and I've set the movement to angle. So if we move it, you can see it moves around its image point. The magnitude is determining how far that will move, and I've set it to 50 by default, but I've actually changed it in the event sheet. So if we go back to the dojo events, you can see that when we hit the dummy with either the star or the sword, then we're going to call this dummy swing. Now, I'll go to the dummy swing in a second, but this is what makes the dummy work. I've got a variable that controls the magnitude. I've called it swing mag. It's set to 0 by default because I don't want the dummy from swinging from left to right when the game starts. And then I've set this condition here, which basically controls it. It's just one line. It says every tick, if the swing mag is more than 0, effectively if it's moving, then every tick we're going to reduce the swing mag by 40 times delta time. So that'll basically reduce the magnitude down until it gets to 0. If it gets to 0, it's obviously stopped. When we hit the dummy, we call the dummy swing function, and that's sitting in my functions event sheet, which I've linked, and it's this function here. So as soon as we call that function, we're going to set swing magnitude to 50, which will start the dummy moving at its maximum distance. We enable the sign position, and then we choose a sound effect to play. And all I've done is set up a local variable called dummy FX, and I've set 2 different sound effects, and it will just pick one based on that variable at the top there. And that's it. So when you hit it, it sets the magnitude to 50, so it starts swinging pretty hard, but then it will gradually slow down until it's stopped. And that's how the dummy works. It's pretty simple. I just want to point out the attention to detail in this game. This sign at the back here, I actually googled the Japanese symbols for illusion, and this is what the internet said it was. So I recreated that in pixel art and put a little kind of sign on the back of the wall. So if you do read Japanese, hopefully that says illusion, but that's kind of the level of detail that I wanted to add into the game. And I've got these little kind of bonsai trees images in the background as well. If you have been following along my channel for a while, you'll notice that I make these game packs on a regular basis. So what I will do, once I've finished up this game entirely with the 3rd boss, and I tidied up the event sheets and commented some of the some of the groups out so it's a little bit more legible for somebody looking at it that isn't me. I will put this game pack available on itch. If you follow me on Patreon, you're going to get it for free anyway, so you can take a look at the event sheets. You can kind of see how I've done things, reverse engineer it. You will also get access to all of the artwork, all of the sprites and animations, and all of the music and sound effects that I've used as well. That'll be part of the game pack. So if that is something you're interested in, that will be out shortly. If you've enjoyed the video and you like the content that I'm making, feel free to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help support my work. Until next time, guys, it's been a pleasure, and thanks for following the channel. And thanks for watching if you've made it this far, and I will see you in the next video.